Welcome, 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 everyone. I see you all making your way in. I look forward to connecting with you all this evening. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. At this point in time, for those of you who are just joining us, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here today. And at this point in time, I will open up the chat a little bit to see where you all are coming in from today. Feel free to share where you are residing during this session today. Would love to see you. All right, wonderful. I see Long Island, Pasadena, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Peru, Ithaca, Brooklyn, Montana, Los Angeles. Wowza, wowza. Such a great group. My dear goodness, it is moving along. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Texas. Oh my goodness. Of course, another LA student, Virginia, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Maine, the Bay Area out in California, Florida. Oh my dear goodness, Iowa, we see you. Maryland, Uzbekistan. Oh my dear goodness, so many. Kentucky, Indiana. Oh my dear goodness, wowza. Armenia. My, you all are coming from all over. This is so, so exciting. Seattle. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, of course, right here in upstate New Paltz, we see Russia, Switzerland, oh, Brazil. Oh, my dear goodness. I'm just so delighted that all of you have decided to spend some time today. And I know for us here on the East Coast, it is the evening time, but wherever you all are in the world, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Just so grateful that you all have decided to spend time today. I know that the vast majority of you have decided to apply to Skidmore College. And I just want to say congratulations for submitting your application to our institution. I know that myself, as well as our team, are very excited to review your application materials. I know that a few of you all are have been admitted and have chosen to enroll at Skidmore through our early decision one process. And I would like to add another congratulations to you all as you are navigating this time. And for those of you who are parents, guardians, high school counselors, support members, I also want to thank you. We know that this is a journey. It takes a village to get to this point. And this session is designed for you all as well. And so just want to acknowledge everyone here in the chat. I will be closing this particular one off just for a little bit, but I do want to give a huge shout out to those who just submitted: Kenya, Poland, Scotland, Rwanda, Westchester, New York, Tunisia, Maine, Virginia. Oh my goodness. I'm just so glad that you all are here today. And again, I know that it takes a lot of time and energy during this time of year for many different circumstances to engage. So at this time, I will share with you that I will be turning off this chat, but it does not mean that I don't want to hear from you. So at this time, you'll also be able to see that we do have an open Q&A feature as a part of this session. It is an opportunity for you to ask questions that are in mind for you. I do have fabulous team members in the background, in particular, one of our our senior associate director of admissions, Matt Cohen, who will be coming on a little bit later on camera for our sessions, but he will be answering some of your questions in the background until that moment. I also have another team member here in the background, and fabulous team member, Deanna Dowdy, who is also supporting here as well. Without further ado, I know that I've addressed all of you all, but I would love to be able to introduce myself to you. My name is Janessa Dunn. I serve as Director of Admissions here at Skidmore College in beautiful Saratoga Springs, New York. And for those of you who are here in the Northeast with us, but you may also be very close to us geographically as well. We had a nice blanket of snow this morning during the winter month, during this winter time. So it's really nice to be able to have that whimsical feel and get to snuggle up a little bit in my sweater here. But also, I'm super grateful to be alongside an incredible team, an admissions team who cares so deeply about you all throughout this process. And that's exactly what I would like to share with you all today as it relates to what it means to apply to Skidmore, but also what it means to stand out and the things that you may want to keep in mind as you're navigating through this process. So again, please use that Q&A feature at the bottom. I want to hear from you throughout our session. If you have questions right now, please feel free to enter those and we'll be ready to share. Now, to begin our chat, and of course, this is designed as a chat, y'all. So I will share with you that there is no formal PowerPoint, there is no formal presentation. It is designed to be a conversation with you all. And as you could probably tell with some of my vernacular, I will begin by sharing a little bit about my journey here to Skidmore and Surrogate Admissions. I have really enjoyed having Skidmore and Saratoga Springs as my home for the last almost 3 years, which has been exciting. But I'm originally from the Southeast region of the US. Born and raised in Alabama, I went to undergrad at a fabulous, wonderful, large public regional university in Southeast Georgia, in the low country of Georgia. I made my way over to Middle Tennessee for graduate school and worked in admissions there as well at a medium-sized research university. And then I scooted over to the next state over to a medium-sized liberal arts university in that regard. And every one of those experiences have had an indelible impact and have encouraged me to be in this wonderful, beautiful environment at Skidmore College, as I like to call a medium-sized liberal arts college with around 2,700 total students in all undergraduate. And some of the pieces that really drew me into this community was the liberal arts and the actualization of what that means. To be quite honest, I was a liberal arts kid, to be, for lack of better words. I majored in chemistry, I minored in Spanish, and I played the oboe in the orchestra. And so those things don't necessarily have a lot to do with each other, but I really wanted to be able to enjoy and to embrace and connect with all different sides of my brain, things that were of interest to me, even though I may not have wanted to pursue it long term. But I also wanted to have the opportunity to consider research and immersive experience to connect with relationships. And that is what I love most about Skidmore is that we do all of those things very, very well. We have over 40 majors and minors. And of course, some of our most popular areas of interest are management and business, one of the top management and business programs amongst liberal arts colleges, where we actually flip it on its head in terms of students engaging through a course called MB 107 to have that industry experience during their first course, through a competition style and mentorship style course. We also have incredible programs in the sciences, including health and physiological sciences. One of our current students who actually works in the Office of Admissions is graduating, and we have been celebrating her because she was just admitted to several physical therapy programs. But what led to those experiences is that she had done research, and incredible research throughout her 4 years, or 3.5 years so far at Skidmore. You'll also find that we have a deep investment in history and the visual and the performing arts without being a conservatory or school of art and design. And so you'll find that the caliber of experiences as it relates to studio, spaces or attention with a faculty member, especially as it relates to your discipline, that access is there, but you also have the opportunity to pair it with another major that may be outside of the arts. And of course, we have a host of wonderful programs in a professional sense, such as social work, education studies, where students are prepared and certified to pursue their interest in those areas. But I share all of these things to say that we are absolutely excited to prepare our students for life after Skidmore. But you'll also find too that we want students to explore. And even during our admissions process, we don't admit by major. There is no quota when it comes down to our evaluation process, where we want students in the arts and business in so many different areas. But we also understand that your minds change at the end of the day. You may be exposed to areas that you didn't even know existed at the very beginning of your process. And that is what we do well. And I speak for our faculty and staff as well as our team as it relates to those areas. Now, so now you have a little bit of a sense for those of you who are engaging with Skidmore for the first time. For those of you who have known us for a little bit, you may have been able to affirm these different areas. I do want to share a little bit about the application process. What does it mean to stand out? What does it mean to have a holistic admission and review process? And also knowing the vast majority of you have submitted your application or about to submit your application. And just as a tidbit here, we do have an application deadline tomorrow for early decision two and regular decision applicants to Skidmore. And I'll share a little bit more about that a little bit later. I say all of that to say, when it comes down to that application process, we take you as the human, as an individual, as the center of our process. And I know my colleagues echo this as well, but we understand that you are a student first more than anything. And so there are lots of different components that we consider and what we're reviewing right now. And I always like to put this in the form of a pie because I am Southern and I like baking and all of these other pieces. But of course, the very first look that we have is your academic achievement within the context of your high school. If you are a first year applicant to Skidmore. Now, some of you may be pursuing a gap year, so we will look at your final high school transcript if you've already graduated. But at this point in time, we're looking primarily at your grades from ninth grade through 11th grade. Now, I know we have several international students here as well, and just know that we have an incredible team too that are able to transcribe or translate what that means for you in terms of the curriculum that you have decided to pursue. So not all grades are going to be in A-B format or 0 to 100 scale. We know some of you have an IB curriculum, International Baccalaureate, on a scale of 1 to 7, or other curriculum, that Oxford Cambridge curriculum, for example. So just wanted to share with you that there are lots of nuances to this, but overall, we're looking at the rigor of your curriculum, how well you have pursued that curriculum, how well have you performed, but also a little bit about your academic interest. Of course, we're going to see some core level courses in mathematics, natural sciences, world languages, of course, social sciences, and English, because English is the language that we use for instruction. We have those core level courses, but some of you may have had access to electives or may have been able to take a class in astronomy versus an independent study that may have been available to you at your school. We love to see those aspects and we love to see you challenge yourself. I think the most important piece to know is that we also consider context. So if there are special circumstances that may affect your curriculum choices or even your performance within those courses, we encourage you to share that with us. We do have a practice here in our office at Skidmore that is centered on positive advocacy. Yes, we are a selective institution as it relates to our admit rate, but it does not mean that we're not looking at the positive attributes when we're reviewing your application. We're looking for reasons to admit, not reasons to deny in our process. So if you're able to help us fill in the gaps, perhaps you changed schools, or you had a family circumstance or personal circumstance, or another impact or variable that may have impacted your performance or curriculum choice, just tell us in that regard. And I can share with you that we use that information to help fill in the gaps in context because we don't want to make assumptions for you. Now, if you've already submitted your application, and you may have already utilized your additional information section of the application, whether that's the common application or the coalition application or the QuestBridge application, for example. But if there's something that may have occurred since you have submitted your application, just email us. We're happy to consider that and add that to your application as well. Now, I will share with you that outside of academic achievement within the context of your high school, some of you may have chosen to submit test scores as a part of your process. Now, if you're not familiar with Skidmore, we have been a test optional institution for nearly a decade. And we are very proud to be in a space where historically and also for us, our students who choose to submit testing versus those who choose not to, they're graduating with a very similar acceptable rate, but also similar GPA. So we know that the other metrics that we're considering as we're evaluating our students are rather strong. And so also, I say all of that to say, if you have chosen to submit your test scores, that's wonderful. We will consider that as a part of our review process. If you have chosen not to submit your test scores, that is okay as well. And in fact, about 65% of last year's applicant pool chose not to submit test scores as a part of their review process. And I think that's important to keep in mind that it is not the leading variable when we're evaluating your application. But all of those pieces, if you submit a test score, it's great. But also if your high school curriculum is what I like to call the crust of a pie. It's kind of giving you the foundation of this process, right? And to be quite honest, throughout a selective admissions process, that crust may be pretty thick. In that process as well. So it will be your foundation. We love to see, of course, your first term grades. We know that some of you are preparing for your second quarter grades to be complete in the next few weeks, for example, or your first trimester grades at this point as well. We do consider those as a part of our review. But of course, that is your foundation. The pieces that help you stand out and really kind of give us who you are the other components. And some of you who had the opportunity to connect with me over the summer may have heard this from me, but I always like to say the filling of the pie can make all of the difference. It's the difference between a sweet potato pie, like where I'm from, down in the Southeast, versus a Boston cream pie, which is equally good, versus a chicken pot pie, which is a completely different taste palette, for example. And the reason why I mention all of those areas is that comes down to how you're presenting your own self authentically throughout your process. A chicken pot pie is going to be great, especially if you're thinking about institutions that may be looking for those particular areas, but that may not necessarily equate to a different institution, for example, or a different program if you're considering different programs at other schools. So, at Skidmore, what our filling of the pie, the ways that we're able to see who you are through your application components. Now, you probably noticed that we're an institution that doesn't require a ton from you as it relates to our process. We're able to do a pretty good job of getting to know who you are without requiring many essays and also an interview process. But we are able to see your personal essay, which is embedded within your application, your common application, for example. And we, at the end of the day, we hope to see, who you are. This is your only voice that you have directly to our readers throughout this process. Sometimes this is a glimpse into your life. Sometimes it's a circumstance, whether happy or sad or a different perspective. But all of that to say, that gives us some insight into who you are. We are also able to take a look at your extracurricular activities and engagement. And for us, that includes everything from anything that you're involved in school, whether that's sports or student government or volunteering, to things that you may be doing outside of school. Maybe you have an interest in a knack for building computers in your free time. Put it on there. If you are a caregiver for a family member, put it on there. If you have an interest in in service organizations such as we see a lot of camp counselors, we see those who have summertime jobs, things of those perspectives as well. We want to see it all, and those are spaces that allow us to know how you spend your time. As a residential community at Skidmore, we're an institution that values engagement beyond the classroom because you're living where you're actually going to school. Our dining hall, our programs. We have over 100 student organizations, and we want you to connect with others. It doesn't mean you have to do the same exact things when you come to Skidmore, and you're, of course, welcome to explore different areas. But we do want to have the opportunity for you to show some evidence that you have engaged or that you're connecting with others. Of course, another part of the filling of the pie are your letters of recommendation. Now, we know that all of you are coming from a variety of school contexts in this moment. And for those of you who have already graduated, perhaps you are pursuing a gap year, you may not have that relationship with your counselor or your teachers in the same way that you had when you were enrolled in school. So I say this to say, a counselor letter of recommendation, the goal is to give us a 30,000-foot view of you within the context of your school. It's giving us an understanding of how you're performing, the curriculum that's available to you. And if you do have a relationship with your counselor where they have the opportunity and the capacity to write on your behalf, they may be able to share with us special circumstances. They may echo some of the information that you may have shared in the additional information section, as we discussed a little bit earlier. But I will share with you that the counselor letter recommendation is just giving us that broad view of you in that regard. Your teacher recommendation letters are going to give us a little bit more weedsy into who you are. These are teachers for whom you have chosen to write a letter, who can not only speak to your performance in your classes, we can see that in your transcript, for example. They may be able to share a little bit more about how you're interacting with classmates, maybe an example of a question or a comment in class that moved a discussion forward. Or maybe this is perhaps a teacher with whom you may have had more than once in high school, for example, and you have developed a working relationship with them over time. These letters give us insight into really understanding how you may reflect and connect with faculty members at Skidmore. We understand that not all teachers and not all counselors have the time to write many, many recommendation letters for our applicants. And we also understand for those of you who do have that relationship, these are things that you may want to consider as you're nailing down those supplemental materials before our deadline. And I will share a piece with that as well. We do have flexibility with those supplemental materials. So if you need some more time, we can receive those. And I would say broadly through the end of the month here. All right, so all of those different pieces do give us some insight into who you are, but also how you're presenting yourself and how you stand out throughout your process. I do want to share with you a little bit about the way that we see you. And I have shared this in other settings as well, and I want to share this with you because you all are in the thick of it. Our team is one where we deeply value having human eyes on your applications. We know that for some of you and many of you, you have spent 17, 18, 19 years into this process. I'm thinking about parents, guardians, and community members who have spent years into this process. And I want you to know that we take this process very seriously on our end as well. And so for us, a standard practice that we have here at Admissions is that we have dual review, essentially meaning that our counseling team, and I will share with you, every single one of you has a regional admissions counselor, and you can find who those individuals are on our website. They're reading in pairs, and so they're able to have dialogue with one another as they're reviewing your application. This provides an opportunity to have multiple sets of eyes, even before I see them, in this regard, to ensure that we're able to capture the information that we need to make a recommendation for your decision. I will also share as well that this is echoed throughout the financial aid process. There are human eyes in this process as well. And I'm going to give a huge plug, and I'll mention this a little bit later, to our session next week which will be hosted by our wonderful Director of Financial Aid, Beth Post, who will be able to share more insight into the financial aid process, whether you're applying as a domestic or international student for financial aid. So all of this to say, we care. We are humans, and we do want to ensure that your information is considered with integrity and with authenticity. Now, so we fast forward a few weeks or so, or maybe more than a few weeks. Let's just say mid-March, and we're releasing admissions decisions. And for some of you, you're applying to many schools as well. At this point in time, you may be wondering, what is next? What's next? What do I do? You may have some choices that may be in front of you as well. And I wanted to encourage you and to encourage you to think about what it means to make that decision. Now, I know that some of you have already chosen to attend Skidmore, which is fabulous. I know we have some early decision two applicants in this group tonight as well. And for those of you who are thinking about that transition to early decision two, there's still time as well. But for those of you who are still wanting to keep that your options open, I want to emphasize the focus of a campus visit, especially after you received your admissions decision. Now, for some of you, you may have been holding off on visiting a multitude of college campuses in order to kind of narrow down. You may have a full list of colleges and you just simply don't have the time or the capacity to visit all of these institutions. For some of you, you may want to revisit colleges now that you have a little bit more of a sense of what that means for you at this stage of the process. So I have a few tips for you. One tip is to document. Share your reflections. Some examples that I've seen over the last few years, specifically to students who have been considering Skidmore, include vlogging. So they're getting their phone and they are recording their experience after every single of college visit that they attend, whether that was during their winter break, their spring break, or during an admitted student day. At Skidmore, it's called Yes Day during the month of April. But it gives them an opportunity to capture what they're feeling in the moment, some pieces that may have stood out to them. What did you like most about your visit? What did you like least about your visit? Is this a place that I can see myself in the next few months? Believe it or not. And also, are there questions that are unanswered for me at this point in time? And I would write those down or record those to consider what is important to you at this time. I can share with you that may change. It may be a pros and cons list, to quote Rory Gilmore from Gilmore Girls in that regard. But all of that to say, these are pieces that we want you to consider. I also encourage you to connect with current students. Yes, we in admissions are always, always happy to be your source of contact. That is who we are here. This is why we're here. This is what our jobs are designed to do, is to be that conduit of information for you. And we also understand that we are not current students, right? We want you to connect with those who are living this experience. You will find, including at Skidmore, we have fabulous student ambassadors in addition to a wonderful campus community at large. If you have the opportunity to visit, I would grab a meal on campus. The dining hall is a really great place to ask random questions to random people to learn about their experience. I'll also encourage you to reach out to faculty if you're curious about a research project or their approach to teaching or collaborating with students. Those are things that may be helpful to you, especially during this stage of the process. And then, of course, last but not least, I encourage you, for those of you who are really thinking about the role of financial aid, which is also why I encourage you to consider our session for next week, is to think about the total cost of attendance and what does that mean for you and your family as you think about the 4 years. At Skidmore, and I will spill a little bit of the beans here, we do a really great job of sharing and even having the opportunities to work with one-on-one with families to project what the next 4 years may look like if things remain stable for the family. So all of these things I want you to consider as you're thinking about the campus visit. So Y'all, I know I've talked a lot at this point in time, and I promised that this would be a dialogue at this point in time as well. And so I am going to open up this Q&A, and I see that my wonderful colleagues have done such a fabulous job of sharing responses to so many different questions. But I will also like to invite my wonderful colleague, Matt Cohen, who also happens to be a 26-year veteran team member, but and Skidmore parent on our team as well to help answer some of these questions. And so to start us off, Matt, can you share a little bit about yourself, what drew you to Skidmore, and then we can delve into some of these questions because there are quite a few of them.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody. I typed some answers to some of your questions, and here I am. I was actually there. I'm Matt Cohen. Yes, this is my 26th year at Skidmore. About forever ago, I was a tour guide in college and got the admissions bug. Um, did something else for a short while, but always thought that the college experience and college life was a great place to be. So um, I've stayed because I love Skidmore. I believe in its mission. I did not attend a liberal arts college, and I now know that I should have. And I really feel when I speak to families and students about Skidmore, I feel very good about telling them about this place. And a lot of times those conversations lead people to enroll, and sometimes, I mean, to apply and sometimes enroll. And sometimes it means that they discover that Skidmore is not the right fit for them. And in that case, I feel like we've done a good service as well. So I am a firm upstate New Yorker now. I love it here, and I'm happy to do my part for the next half hour or so to answer some more of your questions. Nice to meet you all.
Yes, yes. And thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your journey here, Matt, which is always welcomed in so many ways. And as you were chatting, I was also taking a look at so many of the great responses too, and also some additional questions. And so there are quite a few parents and guardians in the group and support members here. And so I do want to begin by answering or asking a question of what advice would you give to those who are supporting their student at this point in time?
Well, I've come full circle. When I got here, my two kids were little, and now I have three, and they're all college graduates. So we were able to go through that college search with all three of them. And for someone with my job, that certainly was an incredible experience. I guess my main piece of advice would be to let the students steer the process. Let their desires and what they're hoping for in a college dictate where you go and what you look at. But keep in mind, you are still a big part of this process too. If you visit a school and there's a group information session and you have a question, feel free to ask. I field questions from parents and guardians and other support folks all the time. And you play a vital role in this, and it is appropriate to put those questions forward. I think it can be helpful to help with logistics. Um, help your student with a spreadsheet or something like that to keep everything in order. I think you can be a helpful person there because the student is a full-time student and is trying to keep everything in one place, and that can be difficult without some additional help. I would also say take pictures when you go to campuses. If you visit 11 liberal arts colleges, of course, Skidmore will stand out because we're amazing. Um, but we share a lot of the same characteristics as some other places, and sometimes just a couple of photographs on your phone might be enough to jog your memory and say, "Oh, yeah, that's the place where we met that great student in the cafeteria and had that wonderful conversation." So I would definitely do that. And then finally, I would say if you are in a position to visit campuses and you have all that time in the car, cherish it. These are your little ones who are flying the nest soon, and you won't have as many opportunities to spend that quality time with them. And I know that when I drove my three kids separately to the colleges that they were interested in, I tried to hold on to that time and enjoy it. And that can take a lot of different forms, but it may be one of the last times that you'll get to spend that intense time together. And I would recommend just enjoying the moment, even though there is a lot of stress associated with it.
That is such great advice, Matt. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of my process as well. My dad had a manila folder and he printed everything
Yeah.
before going through the process. And for me, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to get through my concert band, classes and things of that sort as well. So just a huge shout out to all of the support members who are helping their students stay organized and supported and warm throughout this process. Now, having taken a look at this Q&A, there are lots of questions regarding the academic experience at Skidmore, specifically faculty to student relationships and also the flexibility of our curriculum and what that means. And so, I'm happy to kind of start us off a little bit about the faculty engagement, and then I'll punt it off over to Matt to share a little bit more about what it means to have that flexibility. But one of the things that I really enjoy about Skidmore is truly how invested our faculty members are into our students' experience. We're an all undergraduate school. Meaning that our faculty member who are also pursuing research in their disciplines, they are publishing, they're writing. Their primary goal, however, is teaching. And they're also not doing so with graduate students. And it doesn't mean that that environment may not be a great fit for other students, but it does mean at Skidmore, all of our attention, all of our resources are able to be invested in the undergraduate experience. And students can engage in those relationships early, including our Scrivener seminar process, which is the first year experience course for students to get into of course, the writing aspects of our curriculum, but also to connect with other first year students and to build their first faculty to student relationship. Faculty members are actually the folks who are making the phone call to students before they register for their first sets of classes. And that, in my opinion, is incredibly special. And they're working with their students throughout their first year. So I will share that that is an incredible opportunity that I would love to ensure that is emphasized. But I would love to chat with or share with Matt or ask Matt what you think about the flexibility of the curriculum.
Yeah, I think it's especially strong here. We do have some core requirements that need to be fulfilled, um, but I view that, and many students do, as a tremendous positive. We feel that if you're going to graduate from Skidmore, we're not going to tell you what to think, but we're going to allow you to think about a lot of different things. And you may not be a STEM person, but you're going to take a couple of classes here, and they don't have to be higher level calculus. We don't have blow-off classes, but there are classes, of course, that you can take that aren't, the 300 level top ones if they're not your area. And I've met many students at Skidmore who become very pleasantly surprised by those requirements and say, I didn't become an anthropologist, but that anthropology class that I had to take was fascinating, and I'm glad that I thought that way for at least a full semester. And I know our students really do appreciate that. And as for the relationships with the faculty, um, I'm fortunate enough that I deliver group information sessions here with a couple of Skidmore students each time. And I've heard so many stories about how a student will go to meet with their advisor and they talk about the courses and the assignments for about 10 minutes, and then the next 40 are just about life, or they're about food, or they're about the TV show they watched the other night. And it really sets students at ease and really makes them aware that the professors are really there for them. One of our ambassadors I know is a regular dog sitter for one of our psych professors. And you grin when you hear that, but I hear it so often here that the relationship is just very um, collegial and but also friendly. The professors really want the students to succeed, and I hear that time and time again. So I think a flexible curriculum and faculty that are really caring folks who really want students to succeed here, and the kind of faculty that's drawn to a place like Skidmore is the kind of teacher who emphasizes that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Matt. And, there are some really great questions here that kind of extend, into some of that curriculum. And I'm actually responding to one right now about the role of a seminar. So, for example, if a student is, enrolled in an AP seminar class, will that translate or transfer as a Scrivener seminar equivalent? And I'm sharing that no, actually. All of our first year students are required to complete the Scrivener seminar. It's a hallmark of that core curriculum that Matt um, has mentioned. There are several questions here related to the arts and specifically the performing arts, but also studio arts. So I'm happy to take on performing and then I'll punt it over to you, Matt, for studio. So lots of questions about can you use practice rooms as a major or a non-major? Also, what are the facilities like as well? Now, as you heard me talk, I was a musician in college. I loved being able to be in a space where you're able to access it, but also to connect with others who also have that interest. And at Skidmore, what I love about the music department in particular is that it attracts more non-majors than majors. And our majors are incredibly talented in a core group of that department as well. But it is such a welcoming environment in terms of access to facilities, study, of course, practice rooms, and also being able to utilize settings such as our Zankill Feline Hall Music Concert Hall, for example, where even non-music majors can actually pursue a track to perform in that regard if they choose to perform opera or to perform violin, for example. We have a Feline music competition designed for non-music majors as well, for those of you who are interested. So if you do have the opportunity to visit Skidmore, we do have an arts-based tour where our student ambassadors are able to specifically take you into these spaces so you can do a deep dive into them as well. But Matt, can you share a little bit more about studio art for us?
Yeah, I think just like the performing arts here, our studio art is phenomenal here. We know anecdotally that some students who study that area here also applied to places like RISD and SCAD, the top art schools in the entire country, and Skidmore also. And I think what's so wonderful about doing this at Skidmore is that you can study top-notch art and be pre-med, or you can study art, major in it, and still take English, philosophy, science, foreign language, the whole host of liberal arts within a studio art major or just an interest in studio art. And I think that's something that really makes us stand out. I think you would be very hard pressed to find stronger arts and performing arts within a liberal arts setting. As far as the studio art goes, we have drawing, painting, jewelry making, metal smithing, fiber arts, graphic design, 3D sculpture. It is a very, very wide-ranging department. Our Sasslin Art Building is incredible. We also have a teaching museum and art gallery on campus that's integrated into a lot of classes that we offer. We have every May this incredible show of graduating seniors that basically takes over the museum. And the level of talent there is just phenomenal, and really just a wide range of presentations. So I think if you are a serious artist, whether you want to major in it or not, but don't only want to do that in college, and maybe you don't only want to attend college where everyone else is also only doing that. So it's not only that you get a wide variety of classes, but you get to meet a wide variety of students who are studying a huge range of topics. And I think whether you realize that or not, that will inform your art. You are going to think about a lot of things, a wide range of topics, and that's not available everywhere that has the level of art that Skidmore has. So I've always been proud of that at Skidmore, and that's a tradition that is ongoing.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I must share with you, I have artwork from multiple of our student artists who sell their art, as Matt has alluded to as well. Incredibly talented in so many beautiful ways and also multifaceted too. So very, very exciting. And thank you for elaborating on that. There are several questions in here that talk about life after Skidmore. What do I do with my Skidmore degree? And I'm happy to begin us by chatting a little bit about our Career Development Center, what that means, what that looks like, and also opportunities to connect with this team as you navigate through this process as well. But would love to also hear Matt's perspectives too. What I appreciate deeply about our Career Development Center is it is staffed in a way where students are able to have a coach, a coach-like program to explore options, especially if you're unsure which career path that may be important to you. You may truly be undeclared at this point in time as you enter your college experience. And we have a pathway, and actually a year one, year two, year three, year four pathway about what that means for you and the steps that you can take to move forward. Like several institutions, we utilize a fantastic service called Handshake, where students are highly encouraged, and at Skidmore, they're highly encouraged and enticed with ice cream to create their account to register as soon as they enroll. So that way, they're able to gain access to alumni. And let me tell you, we have a lot of alumni across many different industries. And not only that, we have many alumni members who come back every single year and oftentimes multiple times a year to mentor our students. And one of those hallmark programs is Career Jam that actually overlaps with our family weekend in the fall. We also have the opportunity to support students, of course, who are thinking about pre-professional programs, med school, law school, business school, other areas that may be important to them in consultation with our faculty members who are also writing recommendation letters and things of that sort as well. I can share, if you take a look on our career development website, that we do have some great outcomes. You can see that we have many entrepreneurs who are Skidmore alums in this space, including Vineyard Vines, as well as Valence Ice Cream, all the way into other corporations such as JP Morgan or BlackRock, for example. We also have students who are interested in the arts, and we have many who are stage production to thinking about how to run a museum. We have a fantastic young alumni who has opened up her own gallery and was just named within one of Vogue's top yearly list this past year for her design and in many different ways as well. So I say all of that to say we have an incredible group of fantastic alumni who are ready to engage, but the conduit, of course, is the Career Development Center as your entry point. Matt, do you have anything to share about it?
That was a great answer. I only have a little bit to add. That office will also help students constructing a resume and will also help with interviewing skills. And that is a service for life. If you are a Skidmore graduate and you are well beyond your college years and would like to change careers, come on back. They will certainly help you do that, even if it's a mid-career change. It doesn't only have to be while you're on campus.
Absolutely. Yes, that part is really important. Yes, this is a service and a connection that you can certainly keep for life. And many of our Skidmore alums do so in really beautiful ways. So there are some questions here in the chat about the surrounding area, Saratoga Springs, how students are involved in different areas. And I can share as someone who had a limited experience of Saratoga Springs, upstate New York, and Northeast as a region prior to making my way into this space. A few of the pieces that I absolutely love actually have a really great connection with the arts. What I love about us is that we're also home to the Saratoga Performing Arts Center, also known as SPAC. It is the summer home for the Philadelphia Philharmonic Orchestra, the New York City Ballet, and there is an incredible lineup of musicians and performers throughout the summer, including John Baptiste, who is actually an alum of the Skidmore Jazz Institute. In that regard, we've had other artists such as Oh my gosh, not the Rolling Stones. Come on, Janessa. My brain is like not working right now. There's a whole list. All that to say, the spec is fantastic. One I will mention, I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, and they did a great theme performance with the orchestra, Philadelphia Philharmonic Orchestra, over the summer as well. But I highlight those things as well because some of our students are able to intern with this fantastic venue. They're able to learn the operations, how to run a venue in this space. We also have incredible, beautiful, charming city that we are truly about a mile's walk if you choose to have an active walk or a short bike ride. If you choose to bring a vehicle, a short drive to our downtown, we encourage you to check it out. Wonderful local restaurants, as well as shops. Our students love to go to Uncommon Grounds, which is a favorite tea, coffee, bagel spot that's open until 10 p.m. It's hard to find a cafe that's open until 10 p.m. In that regard across the board, but Uncommon Grounds is a popular spot. So there's so many attributes that I really enjoy, and it's simply beautiful. Matt, anything to share about Saratoga that may be important to you?
Yeah, just a couple of things. As far as the Performing Arts Center goes, I'm a huge classic rock fan. And a couple of years ago, I saw Sting live there, and a few years before, the Police as a group when they reunited. And to me, that was a huge thrill. And that's some pretty high level entertainment there if you're into classic rock. But also, I think when Janessa said, it's hard to find a cafe open at 10 p.m. I encourage you to compare Saratoga Springs against the towns of most of the schools that we consider to be our peers. Loads of great institutions out there, but I challenge you to find a better hometown for a liberal arts college. Um, we have what most of them have, where our area is beautiful, but what I think sets us apart is that vibrant downtown. If you're thinking about where to go and grab a bite to eat on a Saturday evening, you don't have to pick between the three restaurants. You could pick between the 50 or so. It's a very different living experience. If you've decided you want large urban, then we're not the place for you. But if you want something that's a little bit smaller and manageable, but not isolated with very little to do, we really stand out in that group. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can look up college town rankings in any number of publications, and Saratoga Springs is always among the top. And we're lucky we get to live here for more than 4 years, but it would be a great place to be as an undergraduate.
I agree. I agree. In access to Albany International Airport, Amtrak stops. I have taken many train rides down to New York City. I've taken a drive up to Montreal, to Canada, and I've taken that drive east to Boston, which all three of those areas are equidistant, at least in my eyes, around 3 hours. And so it is nice to be able to have that access of an incredible city, a metropolitan area that has access to airports and but also hopping on a train. I enjoy that as well. So there are a few questions here, and I may just do a little bit of rapid fire a little bit as well, given the volume. And I want to say thank you to our wonderful colleague Deanna, who's continuing to type feverishly in the background as well. There are some questions regarding financial aid and what that means, how that relates to London, international students, etc. I would like to share with you, you all, that for all admitted students, we are committed to meeting 100% of demonstrated financial need as it relates to your process. We do have a deadline for your materials if you are U.S. citizens and eligible non-citizens for your FAFSA, FAFSA, free application for federal student aid, as well as your CSS profile, the College Scholarship Service administered by the College Board. We do request that those are submitted by next Wednesday, if you can. Now, of course, if you need some time, we are more than happy to be flexible, but that allows our financial aid team to submit and to review your submissions in a timely manner. If you have any specific questions, I encourage you to hang on to them either for next week's next Tuesday session or to email our financial aid team directly. They're very similar to admissions. They're ready and willing to answer any specific questions, especially as it relates to family circumstances in your area. I would also share for our international students intending to apply for need-based aid, we do request that you either submit the CSS profile or the International Student Financial Aid application that will appear in your applicant portal after you submit your application to Skidmore. Usually it takes about 24 to 48 hours and it will pop up for you to submit your information. But again, we are committed to meeting 100% of demonstrated need for all of our admitted students. I can share with you, there were a few questions here regarding our international students, regarding what if there is a status change as it relates to my visa, whether you're residing at a high school here in the United States or you are applying from outside of the United States as well. We just ask for you to email us. And if you do have that documentation, we would love to be able to include that in your record as well. You can email us at admissions@skidmore.edu, and we're happy to respond and to process those to ensure that we're able to update your information accordingly. So I wanted to make sure that we were able to chat about those. I did see that across the board, and this applies to all of our international students regarding for various status related areas as well. There are a couple of questions here that relate to study abroad and also a clarification as it relates to the flexibility in terms of double majoring and things of that sort. So I'll allow Matt to share study abroad and I will take the, the flexibility.
Sure. Just under 60% of our students study abroad. It is open to all academic majors. You can do 1 or 2 semesters abroad while at Skidmore. If you go on the London program, it does not count as one of those two. You can still do 2 additional ones. Um, it is most commonly done junior year. That seems to often fit best in our academic program, but that's certainly not a requirement. Some of our academic programs do a short international trip in between the fall and spring semesters. So there is that opportunity also, as well as study abroad options during the summer. If you are on financial aid, it follows you overseas. We don't want that to be an impediment to anyone having a great international experience. So it is open to all academic majors. If you come to Skidmore and you think you want to do that, I would recommend discussing it with your advisor, even informally during the first year, just so you can start putting a plan together for your degree and folding that in. Some of our programs feed directly into a major. Other times, students will go abroad and not take classes in their major at all. That will require a little bit more planning, but certainly doable. And again, it's open to all students here.
Love that part, which is beautiful. And of course, the emphasis on your financially goes with you abroad, which is incredible. There are a couple of questions here. And of course, I want to make sure that I clarify that there was a piece about double majoring. I will share another statistic for you that may be helpful. Over 60% of our students, well over 60% of our students, double major or minor in different disciplines at Skidmore. So and so I think there was a figure in the Q&A that mentioned 22%. And so just know that we have a wide group of students who are taking classes and or minoring or double minoring in some cases outside of their discipline and graduating typically within that 4-year period. So wanted to share that as well. And I know we only have a few minutes left, so try to get through as many of these as we absolutely can for this evening. There were some additional questions about portfolio submissions as well as research. And I can share for those of you who are thinking about the sciences for research, and we know that research expands all disciplines at Skidmore, which is amazing. But if you're interested specifically in the sciences, you may have seen in your applicant portal, if you've already have submitted your application, that we do have a specialized and competitive scholarship for students who are interested in having a cohort of students who are like-minded and research-centric, called the Porter Wachenheim Scholarship. So if you're interested in pursuing that, I encourage you to take a look in your applicant portal. This is a competitive group. We tend to enroll 10 to 12 Porter Wachenheim Scholarship recipients every year, but it could be an additional opportunity for you. But even if you're not recipient of this scholarship, research is still available. And of course, support, financial support, whether through our Skidmore summer grant experience or others, will allow you to have financial support to present at conferences, of course, to support publications with great support from our faculty members as well. We have several students who graduated and pursued PhD programs at many top 20 institutions, national institutions as well. So if that's of interest to you, our faculty members will be excited to connect with you. Portfolios, you may see in your applicant portal for those of you who have applied as first-year students, you may want to submit a studio art portfolio or a portfolio for theater, for example. I know our chair, Lisa Shbetta Jackson, would be excited and her team to see so many of those aspects as well. We do ask that you choose one portfolio to submit. Portfolios do not have a bearing on your admissions decision here at Skidmore. That goes back to our earlier conversation regarding you are admitted as an undeclared student, you are encouraged to explore, but you may want to have a look from by our faculty members to review your interest and your talents. The exception to that is for the Feline Music Competition. Music will be your default primary portfolio to submit if you would like to engage in that competition. So those are some things I want to consider. I know we have a lot of questions that we were not able to get to this evening, but we did answer as many as we could and thematically as possible. All of this to say, thank you for your active engagement throughout our time, but also thank you so much for choosing to put Skidmore on your list as a place to explore, whether you have already decided to attend, you're considering of applying to us, or you are ready for your admissions decision to come through. If you have questions after today, please connect with us at admissions@skidmore.edu. I will signpost again our financial aid webinar that will take place next Tuesday. You will also see that we have a fabulous webinar with President Mark Connor, Skidmore's college president, on January 20th, as well as other opportunities to connect directly with current students as well. So check your email, check your inboxes, look at our events calendar on our Skidmore website, and we would love to see you again. But Matt, thank you for being my partner in this effort.
Happy to do it.
Um, yes, yes. And also thank you, Deanna, here in the background as well. We wish you a very happy evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Take good care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.